The slap echoed across the wedding hall. Sharp, humiliating, unforgivable. Guests froze. Cameras kept rolling. The bride didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply lifted her eyes and smiled. Because in that moment, the woman who slapped her had no idea. She had just assaulted the daughter of one of the most powerful billionaires in the world. And the reckoning would not come today. Amara Cole stood at the altar, hands clasped calmly in front of her white gown. The silk shimmered under crystal chandeliers, yet not a single compliment had come her way from the groom's family. To them, she was nothing special. A quiet girl, no visible family, no social status, no pedigree. At least, that's what they believed. Across the hall, her future mother-in-law, Margaret Hawthorne, watched with thinly veiled disgust. "This is who you chose," she whispered sharply to her son, Daniel. "A girl who couldn't even invite a proper family?" Daniel stiffened. "Mother, please. Today is exactly when mistakes become permanent." Guests whispered. "Did you notice?" "No, parents." Strange, probably embarrassed. What no one knew was that Amara's father had landed his private jet less than an hour ago, on a runway the city didn't even know existed. He wasn't late. He was waiting. During the reception lineup, Margaret suddenly stopped the proceedings. "Wait." She stepped forward, eyes scanning Amara like a stain on silk. "You forgot something." Amara blinked. "I'm sorry." Margaret's voice cut through the hall. "A bride should bow to her husband's family. Where I come from, respect still matters." Gasps, Daniel whispered. "Mother, this isn't necessary." Margaret turned slowly. "Oh, but it is." Amara hesitated, then lowered her head. The smile on Margaret's face widened. When Amara lifted her head again, Margaret's hand moved. Slap! The sound cracked through the hall. A camera fell. A glass shattered. Someone screamed. Amara staggered, but did not fall. Her cheek burned. Margaret spoke coldly. "Let that teach you where you stand." Silence swallowed the room. Amara slowly straightened. She touched her cheek. Then she smiled. Not weak, not afraid. Margaret frowned. "What is that look?" Amara's voice was soft. "Nothing, just realizing something." Daniel grabbed her hand. "I'm so sorry." She squeezed back. "Don't be," she whispered. This was always going to happen. From the back of the hall, a man in a dark, tailored suit spoke quietly into an earpiece. "Yes, she's been struck." Pause. "No," she said to wait. Longer pause. "Yes, sir." Understood. His eyes lifted to the bride. Respect. Concern. Readiness. Margaret raised her chin triumphantly. "Let's continue. The ceremony isn't ruined, unless she makes a scene." Amara met her gaze calmly. "Oh," she said softly, "I wouldn't dream of ruining today. Because tomorrow, you won't even recognize your life." What Margaret didn't know was that the wedding wasn't the beginning of Amara's story. It was the end of Margaret's illusion. The wedding continued. That was the most disturbing part. Music resumed. Awkward, forced. Guests clapped too loudly, laughed too quickly, desperate to pretend they hadn't just witnessed a public assault. Amara stood beside Daniel, her posture straight, her expression serene. Too serene. Daniel leaned close, his voice breaking. "We can leave. Right now. I don't care about anything else." Amara shook her head gently. "No," she said. "If we leave now, she wins." Daniel swallowed. "Wins what?" Amara didn't answer, because the game wasn't his to understand yet. Across the hall, Margaret basked in whispers. "Strong woman," someone murmured. "She knows how to put people in their place," said another. Margaret accepted the praise like royalty reclaiming her throne. She needed to be reminded, Margaret said coolly to her sister-in-law. "Girls like that get ideas when they marry up." "Marry up?" the woman laughed. "You're generous." Margaret smiled thinly. She should be grateful I even allowed this wedding. Outside the venue, black sedans idled silently. Men in tailored suits spoke in low, controlled tones. Inside the largest car sat Victor Cole, Amara's father, billionaire, industrial magnate, a man whose name never appeared in gossip columns, only financial briefings and government meetings. On the screen before him, the slap replayed. Once, twice, a third time. Victor didn't react. No anger, no shouting, no threats, only a slow inhale. "She told us not to intervene," his aide said carefully. Victor nodded. "She's always been like her mother." He paused. "But no one touches my child without consequence." Back inside, Margaret approached Amara during dinner. She inspected the bride's cheek, still faintly red. "You should thank me," Margaret said softly, sweetly. "Discipline builds character." Amara met her eyes. "My father used to say the same thing," she replied. Margaret laughed. "Your father?" She waved dismissively. "If he were anyone important, he'd be here." Amara smiled again. "He is." Later that evening, Daniel found Amara alone on the balcony. "I should have protected you," he said. "I froze. I failed you." Amara reached for his hand. "No," she said. "You saw who she really is. That matters." He frowned. "You're not angry?" "I was," she admitted. "Years ago." Daniel blinked. "Years." She looked out into the night. "There are battles you don't fight with fists, Daniel. You fight them with timing." Inside the venue office, the wedding planner answered a call. "Yes." Pause. "I'm sorry, did you say Cole?" Her face drained of color. "Yes, yes, sir. Of course." She hung up slowly. Across the room, Margaret's brother scoffed. "What's wrong with you?" The planner swallowed. "Nothing. Just a confirmation call." "What kind of call?" She hesitated. "The kind that doesn't happen unless someone extremely important is nearby." The MC announced a surprise. A very special wedding gift has arrived for the bride and groom. A hush fell. A large envelope was brought forward, thick, embossed, heavy. Margaret leaned toward Daniel, probably from one of her pity friends. Daniel opened it. Inside was a deed, not to a house, to an entire residential complex. Daniel's hands trembled. "Amara, what is this?" She glanced at it casually. "Oh," she said, "just something my father bought years ago." Margaret's smile froze. "Your father?" she repeated sharply. Margaret snatched the paper, scanning the signature. Her breath caught. The name stared back at her. Victor Cole. The room seemed to tilt. "No," she whispered. "That's not. This must be forged." A quiet voice spoke from the doorway. "It isn't." Every head turned. Victor Cole stepped into the light. Amara turned. Her composure cracked for the first time. "Dad." Victor's stern face softened instantly. He crossed the room and embraced her. "Are you hurt?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "Not anymore." Victor turned slowly to Margaret. His gaze was calm. Deadly calm. Margaret opened her mouth. No words came. Victor spoke instead. "You slapped my daughter," he said evenly. "And you did it publicly." He paused. "That means your apology must be public too." Silence thundered. Margaret's knees weakened because she finally understood. This wedding wasn't a union. It was a reckoning. The room waited. Margaret's lips trembled, but no apology came. Instead, she straightened her shoulders the same way she had before the slap. "I don't know what game you're playing," she said coldly to Victor, "but money doesn't buy respect." A few guests nodded nervously. Victor studied her. "You're right," he said calmly. "It buys consequences." Victor raised a hand slightly. Instantly, the music stopped. The waiters froze. The MC stepped back. Security shifted position. "You see," Victor continued, his voice steady, "I taught my daughter restraint, patience, timing." He looked at Amara. "She begged me not to interfere today." Amara lowered her eyes. "But patience," Victor added, "is not permission." Daniel stepped forward, shaken. "Sir, Mr. Cole, I swear I didn't know about any of this." Victor turned to him. "I know," he said simply. Daniel exhaled. Victor continued, "If you had known, you would have married my daughter for the wrong reasons." Amara looked up sharply. Daniel's voice cracked. "I love her." Victor held his gaze for a long moment. "Then this next part will be difficult for you." Victor nodded to his aide. A screen descended behind the stage. Margaret frowned. "What is this nonsense?" Victor spoke evenly. "A history lesson." The screen lit up. Company records, court filings, bank statements. Margaret's family business, Hawthorne Holdings, appeared on screen. Victor continued, "Did you know your company has survived for years on quiet loans? Loans forgiven, debts delayed." Margaret's face drained of color. Victor tapped the screen. "All under my subsidiaries." "That's impossible," Margaret snapped. "We built everything ourselves." Victor nodded. "You did, and then you failed." Gasps rippled through the room. "I bought your debt," Victor said calmly. "Not control you." He looked directly at Margaret. "But to protect my daughter, if she ever crossed your path." Amara's breath caught. "You planned this," she whispered. Victor turned to her. "I planned for this," he corrected gently. Margaret laughed suddenly, sharp, desperate. "You think humiliating me give you power? My son married her. That makes me family." Victor's expression hardened. "No," he said. "It makes you replaceable." Margaret's smile shattered. Victor continued. "You leverage status, influence, fear." He gestured to the guests. "But now everyone here knows who you are when power shifts." Margaret turned to Daniel. "Say something," she hissed. "Tell them this is wrong." Daniel looked between his mother and Amara. For the first time, he didn't hesitate. "You slapped my wife," he said quietly, "in front of everyone." Margaret's eyes widened. "You chose her?" she whispered. Daniel nodded. "I choose what's right." Margaret staggered back as if struck. Victor addressed the room. "I won't destroy her," he said calmly. "That would be easy." Margaret exhaled in relief. Victor continued, "I'll simply step away." The relief vanished. "Every loan," Victor said, "every delay, every favor, ends tonight." Phones buzzed. Executives whispered. Investors panicked. Margaret collapsed into a chair. Amara approached Margaret slowly. The room held its breath. I never wanted revenge, Amara said softly. I wanted respect. Margaret looked up at her, eyes hollow. You planned this, she whispered. Amara shook her head. No, she said. I survived you. Victor placed a hand on Amara's shoulder. Tomorrow, he said, the world will know who you are. Margaret whispered in horror. No, please. Victor looked at her one last time. You should have learned, he said quietly, that some brides arrive with kingdoms behind them. But the most painful consequence was still coming. And it wouldn't be delivered by a billionaire, but by a bride who refused to become a victim. The wedding hall was empty, petals crushed underfoot, chairs overturned. Echoes of a celebration that never truly existed. Margaret Hawthorne sat alone in her bedroom as sunlight crept through silk curtains. Her phone vibrated. Once, twice, again. She didn't answer because she already knew. Her assistant's voice cracked over voicemail. Ma'am, the board is panicking. The banks want meetings. 3 partners pulled out this morning. Another message followed. We can't cover payroll next month. Margaret closed her eyes. This wasn't humiliation anymore. This was collapse. Across the city, Amara stood by a window in a private penthouse. Daniel watched her carefully. You okay? He asked. She nodded. I thought I'd feel something else, she admitted. Anger? Daniel asked. She shook her head. Closure. Daniel hesitated. My mother... Amara turned. Your mother made choices long before me. Margaret arrived unannounced. No makeup, no entourage, no confidence. Security stopped her at the door. I need to see my daughter-in-law, she said hoarsely. The word tasted bitter. Moments later, Amara appeared. Margaret fell to her knees. I was wrong, she sobbed. I misjudged you. Please, tell your father to stop this. Amara looked down at her. Calm, unmoved. This isn't punishment, she said gently. It's accountability. Margaret reached out. You think you're better than me now? Amara stepped back. No, she said. I think I'm free. Margaret froze. Freedom. Amara continued. Is knowing I don't need your approval. She turned to the guards. Please escort her out. Margaret screamed. But no one listened anymore. Daniel visited his mother one last time. I'll help you start over, he said quietly. But I won't excuse what you did. Margaret looked at him through swollen eyes. She changed you. Daniel shook his head. She showed me who you were. He stood. This is goodbye for now. The door closed softly behind him. News outlets exploded. Hawthorne Holdings files for restructuring. Unknown backer withdraws support. Who is Victor Cole? Amara watched the coverage silently. Victor joined her. You sure you want to name public? He asked. She smiled faintly. It's time. Weeks later, Amara stood before a foundation she had quietly funded for years. Women who had been silenced, humiliated, dismissed. She spoke softly. No one gets to define your worth. The room erupted in applause. Daniel watched from the back, proud, humbled. Margaret sat alone in a small apartment. No staff, no legacy, no audience. She turned on the TV. Amara appeared on screen. Confident, respected, untouchable. Margaret whispered. I should have bowed to her. The screen faded to black. She was slapped as a bride, but rose as a woman who ended an empire because power doesn't scream. It waits.